Hello everyone, so I'm here with a book haul. A lot of these I got at a used bookstore, and there's three that I did get through Amazon because I couldn't find them anywhere else, and then I got some from Book Outlet. So actually, arriving next week, I was actually able to find the book, A Song for Achilles, I think it's called. That one's gotten some rave reviews, and I finally found it on Book Outlet for a really good price. So that's coming next week. I've heard some really good things. It has like 4.5 stars out of 5 on Goodreads, and it's kind of a new take on the story of the Iliad and of Achilles, and yeah, it's supposed to be a very good book. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that next week. Right now I am reading The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley, so it's kind of the isolation thriller. So a group of 9 friends from, they graduated from Oxford College, and each year they have like this reunion, and on New Year's they go to this remote cabin on the Scottish Highlands, and you know right off the bat that someone's missing, someone's dead. And then they kind of go back and forth from looking for this person, and then they go back in time a few days as they're arriving and settling in and all that stuff. So far, haven't read a lot, but the characters are really quite interesting, and I really do like the flow of the book, and yeah, so far so good. And then I've been looking for some new bookends, so I've been looking in Winners, HomeSense, Marshalls, and they do have some, but they just don't really appeal to me. So I did go on Amazon and I bought these ones, and they're like the Tree of Life bookends, which I really like. I like the black wrought iron on there. So yeah, I really did like those ones. So yeah, it's kind of hard to find good bookends, I should say, anymore. Alright, so I'll start with the 3 books that I bought off Amazon, and they're all Kate Morton books. And Kate Morton does the parallel storylines. So the first story takes place, you know, it depends on the story. It could take place 50, 100, 200, 300 years ago. And then the parallel storyline is the same area, but a different perspective in that. So I did read The Distant Hours by Kate Morton, and that one really stuck with me. It was such a good book. I didn't want it to end. It was such a sad ending, but you just think about one simple mistake or simple happening can just totally affect a person's life in that. So I really did enjoy The Distant Hours. And then I did get The House at Riverton, and I believe this is her debut book. I'm not talking music here, Heidi. So this young girl works as a servant at a Riverton house, and there's 2 daughters, and a young poet shoots himself, and the only witnesses are the 2 daughters, and but this young servant knows the truth also. So yeah, I really do enjoy her books. And this is Kate Morton, The Secret Keeper, and this takes place at a summer party at the family farm in the English countryside. So the 16-year-old witnesses a crime, and her mother's involved, and she kind of keeps it to herself. And then later on, the story does come out. And then this is The Lake House by Kate Morton. And this takes place in 1933, and this wealthy family has a party, and the I think it's an 11-month-old brother disappears, and then 70 years later, this detective stumbles upon this house and finds clues to what happened and that sort of thing. So yeah, I really do like those that kind of go back and forth from the past to the future. Alrighty, and then the used bookstore, I did find this book called The Burning Girls by C.J. Tudor, and he wrote The Chalk Man, which I do have, and I have to get at it. There's so many books I want to read, but this one really sounded good. So, it takes place in a remote village called Chapel Croft. So 500 years ago, Protestant martyrs were basically burned at the stake. 30 years ago, two teenage girls disappear without a trace, and then just a few weeks ago, the local vicar hung himself in the church. So this new reverend comes to town with his 14-year-old daughter for a fresh start, but of course there's just been so much history with this small village, and yeah, he finds some mysterious things out, and yeah, things probably don't go too well after that. And this is Susanna Kersley, A Desperate Fortune. So I have read some of her books. I did haul a few. So hers are similar to Kate Morton. I probably like Kate Morton a little bit more, but again, this is going back about 300 years, and then there's a parallel storyline. So this woman 300 years ago was part of the Jacobite resistance in Scotland, and then this woman is hired by a historian to crack this woman's journal. So yeah, it's I love history, so going back and forth in time and finding out what life was like back then. So I really love those type of books. This is Force of Nature by Jane Harper. So 5 women go on a hike and only 4 return. So these female office workers go on this corporate retreat into the wilderness, and one person goes missing, and then there's a federal police agent has to goes into the woods to find out what's happened to this woman. And this is Sherry Lupina, An Unwanted Guest. So this is another kind of isolation thriller. It takes place in the Catskills. So a couple goes there for a romantic weekend. There's other guests there. Then there's a blizzard, and all electricity is cut off, so everyone has to kind of hunker down and wait it out. And then one of the guests turns up dead. Looks like an accident, but another person dies. So it's kind of a murder mystery, isolation kind of thriller. And this is Her Dark Lies by J.T. Ellison. So this takes place on an island off the Italian coast. This woman is married into a very wealthy family, and they have a villa on the island. But when she gets on the island for her wedding, a lot of very strange things are happening. Very strange texts are popping up. And then a raging storm descends, the power goes out, and the real terror begins. Alrighty, and then on Book Outlet, now this one I've seen before, and I kept passing it by, and then I went on to Goodreads, and it's gotten like 4.2 out of 5 stars, which is quite high. So I thought I would pick it up. This is by Dennis Lehane, called Mystic River. So there's these 3 boys growing up together, and a strange car pulls up. One boy gets into the car and 2 did not, and something terrible happens, and it ends their relationship, their friendship, and just changes them forever. And then 25 years later, one of the boys is a police officer, one's an ex-con, and the other person is holding his marriage together and keeping his demons at bay. So the ex-con, his daughter shows up dead, and the police officer starts investigating and starts uncovering a lot of different secrets going on. So yeah, this has gotten very good reviews, so thought I'd pick that up. This is The Lost Diaries of Susanna Moody by Cecily Ross, a Canadian writer. So back in the 1830s, this couple moves to Canada. The husband thinks he's kind of one of those get-rich-quick scheme kind of people, but I don't think they realize how tough the Canadian wilderness is. And so it's part love story, part harrowing survival adventure, and it's based on the real life of one of Canada's most prominent pioneers. So yeah, I was kind of attracted to this because on my mom's side, some of her ancestors came from Ireland during the famine, and then sort of the mid-1800s, on the other side of her, I think it's her dad's side, they came from Lincolnshire and England, and they came from Scotland. So yeah, it was a tough life back then. They were all farmers. They all had to try to turn that wilderness into farmland. It was a tough, tough life. So yeah, I was kind of interested because of that, for that one. And this is The Queen of Hearts by Kimrie Martin, and I really love the cover. So this one was kind of medical based, that's why I was kind of attracted to it. So these two women have been friends since their early 20s when they went to medical school together. They've since graduated. They have both very good medical careers, and then a former colleague shows up and he unearths a secret one of them has been harboring for years. So yeah, being a nurse, anything medical, kind of drawn to. This is The Haunted Ground by Aaron Hart. And this takes place in Ireland, and the farmers are cutting turf in an Irish peat bog, and they make a grisly discovery. So they find this preserved head of a woman with long red hair. So an Irish archaeologist and an American pathologist have to determine, is this, because it's a peat bog, which preserves bodies quite well. Is this body a couple years old, a couple hundred years old, a couple thousand years old? So they have to investigate. And this is by Stuart Turton. Now, he wrote The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, if anyone's familiar with that. And this is The Devil and the Dark Water. So this takes place in 1863. So there is this detective called Samuel Pepys, and he's been transported to Amsterdam to be executed for a crime that he may or may not have committed. And on board is his loyal bodyguard who's trying to prove his innocence, and a noblewoman with a secret. So as soon as their ship goes out to sea, strange symbols start to appear on the sails. Livestock's dying at night, like all these strange things are happening. So the detective and the noblewoman, the bodyguard, are trying to solve what's going on and also prove his innocence. And this is River of Darkness by Rennie Erith. So this is the first John Madden mystery. So I haven't heard of this series, but it's historical, so that's what I'm drawn to. And this takes place right after World War I. This Scotland Yard inspector has been through the First World War as a soldier, and he's also lost his wife and child, so he's got a lot going on, and he has to investigate this vicious attack on a household in a small village that leaves 5 family members murdered. So he gets help with a female doctor who introduces him to the latest developments in criminal psychology. So yeah, it's sounds like a really good series. I love history, and then sort of the beginning of forensic psychiatry and that. So yeah, if I like this one, I definitely will look at others in the series. And then I got a couple of Jess Kidd novels. I did haul Small Things in Jars, I think it was called. This one is called Himself. And so this gentleman is abandoned on the steps of an orphanage as an infant. He assumes that his mother had just given him up, but later on he discovers that there might have been some foul play which led to her disappearance. So he returns to the small Irish village where he was born to find out what really happened. So yeah, things start, he uncovers things that probably the village doesn't want him to uncover, basically. And this is Mr. Flood's Last Resort. So this one is a gentleman who he's wealthy. He lives in quite a large home. His son wants to put him into a nursing home, but he says, like, no way. He's a bit of a hoarder. He lives with tons of cats. So the son sends in this caregiver to kind of look after him and hopefully convince him to go into the nursing home. But these two end up bonding. They end up cooperating and bonding. Yeah, so anyway, I think mystery happens, and then she gets along with him, but then she's thinking, this previous death, was he involved, kind of thing. So anyway, and I love the cover. That'll look great for a fall read with the autumn colors. But anyway, that's it, guys. So that was my little haul. So I'm going to put these away using my new bookends here. Yeah, I don't know. Bookends maybe just not very popular anymore, but they're kind of hard to find. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I hope it gave you some good reading ideas, and let me know if there's any book suggestions you have for me. And anyway, everyone take care, be kind to each other, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.